All right, so we have some fundamental events to come up this afternoon. By 1 p.m., which is roughly some 17 minutes from now, there'll be a monetary policy summary report, MPC official bank rate, and official bank rate. This all talks about interest rate from United Kingdom. Volatility is expected across the GBP pairs. We'll take a look at a couple of them that will react to this news event. By 1:30 p.m., there'll be same United Kingdom, the Bank of England, Governor Bailey's speech. So the governor of the Bank of England, Governor Bailey, will give a speech by 1:30 p.m. That is expected to give volatility in the market, though direction is not certain at the moment. By 2:15 p.m., there will be main refinancing rate from Eurozone, followed by monetary policy reports, and this will impact upon the euro. By 2:30 p.m., we have CPI, unemployment claims, and fully fed manufacturing index from United States. So you can see we have a loaded fundamental event for today. And finally, by 2:45 p.m., there will be ECB press conference that the European Central Bank governor will give a press conference. Now, the most important of all the events today is actually the dollar. The USD events carry more weight. Now, please, if your device is making a noise that's distracting the class, I will advise you put it off so that it doesn't cause distraction. All right, so I'm going to switch over now to the charts. We'll take a look at what the dollar is looking like and the potential direction of any news events that reflects the United States dollar. Now, this is the dollar index on the daily time frame. After the NFP on Tuesday, we can see there was a rejection candle around the previous support level. Now, the price just touched, good afternoon, Madam Managing. Price just touched the tip here very, very briefly, but then it's still a valid support zone. So we're expecting further continuation to the upside. So if the news comes out, now 3 news events will be released by 2:30 p.m. The CPI, unemployment claims, and fully fed manufacturing index. All these 3 events are not related in any way. All 3. So if the data comes out good for all 3, then we'll have a massive bullish movement on the US dollar. Same thing if it comes out all bad for the dollar, we'll have a massive bearish movement. But then since they are not related in any way, if the data comes out conflicts one another, we may experience some spike in the market. But technically, I'm bullish on the dollar. So I'll be looking out for a scenario where the data comes out actual greater than forecast so that we can look at buying the US dollar. Now, aside this, the major event, major setup I've seen this afternoon, that's actually where my focus is. I'm not too much bothered about the fundamentals. I'm looking more towards the technical setup I'm seeing on the charts. And I have 3 of them: US oil, Euro AUD, and CAD JPY. So let's look at those ones. The US oil first. All right, so this is the US oil. I'll start the analysis from the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, price hit a support zone recently. You can see a valid support. We have a valid support here, and there's a corresponding touch right here also. Now, what makes this other one very important is because it formed a reversal candlestick pattern, more like a tweezer bottom. Tweezer bottom is like a set of candlesticks that act as a set of twins, one bearish, the other bullish. And in this case, it's expected to lead to a bullish movement. Even though today's candle looks like it's red, but then that is not the overall direction. A reversal is expected to the upside. If you analyze down to the 4-hour candle, we're not seeing much, but there seems to be some clarity around 1-hour time frame. So on 1 hour, I can clearly draw my trend line. And then we can see that price actually broke out, but it's retesting that trend line, even though it seems to have gotten below the trend line again, but then it's within this support zone. So technically, we're going to be expecting a reversal to the upside. So this is my outlook on the US oil. We're going to be taking a buy if any new candle opens above this recent high. And at that instance, we expect our RSI to have fully crossed above 50 and MACD to possibly have crossed below zero. So I'm bullish on the US oil on 1 hour time frame. I'm bearish on the Euro AUD. Now this is Euro AUD on the daily time frame. The overall trend is bearish. Lower high, and this other kind of lower high. Technically, we're expecting a move to the downside from that outlook on the daily time frame. So I'll switch to the 4 hour. You can see a rejection candle right here at the point where that trend line on the daily meets and the rising wedge pattern on the 4 hour time frame. So all this makes this point here a confluence point between the trend line of the daily, the rising wedge on 4 hour, with the rejection candle formed right here. Technically, this is expected to lead also to a bearish movement. And finally, on 1 hour time frame, we can see that we have that trend line from the daily time frame. The rising wedge is still valid on 1 hour, but there is now a resistance turn support at this point here. So I strongly believe Euro AUD may take a bounce to the upside before crashing eventually. Now, if it works like this, that means that we may end up having a head and shoulder pattern before the final breakout to the downside. Now, RSI is already below 50. MACD is yet to cross below zero. But then in the course of this setup, if price takes a bounce and breaks out below this lower trend line, then you can trigger a sell as price proceeds downwards. Now, it's also possible that price may break out without, retesting as I anticipate. If it happens that way, well, that's still not, still a good one. But key thing I'm looking out for is because of this resistance turn support, I'm looking out for a possible bounce, a completion of a head and shoulder, and a downward breakout as a downside. That's after price has broken out below the lower trend line. So I'm bearish on the Euro AUD on 1 hour. So what's the potential profit on this setup? Using my Fibonacci tool, I'll be looking at entry around Fibonacci 23.6, and that means to Fibonacci 30.2, that can give as much as like 40 to 50 pips. To Fibonacci 60 can give about 87 pips. To Fibonacci 7.8 can give as much as 125 pips. So between 47 to 60 to 125 pips is a possible movement on this instrument as we round up the week. Now, take note, I didn't say it will hit those levels today. It's possible it might hit the first profit target today if everything goes as planned. But subsequent ones may span till maybe Monday next week, thereabouts, since tomorrow is Friday and we're going to end the week. But most importantly is that we're bearish on the Euro AUD. Finally, we'll look at the card JPY. All right, so this is card JPY on the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, price seems to make a new high recently, and taking it down to 4 hour, I'm seeing the formation of what looks a lot like a head and shoulder pattern, which is expected to trigger a massive bearish movement. I'm using my Fibonacci tool up there. There is also a support on resistance right here. All right, so we have a support on resistance and a head and shoulder pattern. Support on resistance on the daily, a head and shoulder on 4 hour. Technically, we're going to be expecting price to break out to the downside. This is the 4 hour version. We're expecting price to drop to that neckline, possibly range, and break out. But then some people are aggressive traders and they would like to look for this opportunity earlier. And that's why I'm taking you down to 30 minutes and even 15 minutes time frame to get a faster entry for those who might want to trigger the trade, to take the trade earlier. So this is KJPY on 15 minutes time frame. I see there's I. So price has done a test and a retest, then awaiting a continuation. So at the point where price is, anything is possible. We may experience a retracement. This is more or less forming a shoulder, a head, a second shoulder, and a breakout to the downside. Well, like I said, we'll have to be cautious with this region being a support turned resistance, because if the reversal doesn't take place, as I said, price is just going to go up and may later drop. So either ways, I hold a bearish outlook on CAD JPY on 15 minutes. Now, if you want to trade this as a swing trader, then you have to wait for the rules around the 4 hour time frame to decide. This is a 4 hour time frame. We have a head and shoulder, very big and very powerful setup there. And we're expecting price to break out below the neckline and downwards. But that's going to be on 4 hour. It may take some time. But if swing trading is your thing, then you should look out for this also. All right, so that'll be all from my end this afternoon. I've analyzed 3 instruments. I've analyzed the US oil, and I said I'm bullish on the US oil on 1 hour. I'm bearish on Euro AUD on 1 hour. And I'm bearish on the CAD JPY on 1 hour. So that'll be all from my end this afternoon. If you have a question, you can go ahead and post in the comment section while we round up gradually. The floor is open for questions. All right, in the absence of any question, we'll end the analysis here. Trade safe and enjoy the rest of the day.
No, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Please, I posted NAS 100, sir. I don't know if you saw it.
All right, I just saw it now.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All right, so this is NAS 100 on the daily time frame. Price is making a series of higher low, higher low. Technically, from this point, we're expecting a bounce to the upside. So the trend is in an uptrend on the daily time frame. All right, so we have an uptrend on the daily time frame, and on 1 hour, I'm seeing a falling wedge pattern. Now, the same 1 hour, I can see my MACD. With what I'm seeing on MACD is trading around 50. There's a possibility it reverses before breaking out, except if the news in the afternoon changes its direction. I believe there should be a downward movement, not just because I believe alone. You can see we have a valid support, turn resistance, so that is bound to push the price downwards. Then from there, we may experience a breakout. All this might take time before it finally materializes, but then that's what I'm seeing on the chart. A retest, then a breakout to the upside. So watch out for this setup on the NAS 100. We are bullish on NAS 100.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a great day. Bye.
You too. All right, I'm signing out here. Take care. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye bye.